Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for June of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening in June. And by the way, Leo, your birthday is coming soon. If you haven't scheduled your yearly birthday reading yet, there's still time to do it before your birthday, which is the most powerful time to do it. This lets you ritualize your personal New Year's moment and jump into your year empowered to make it the best one ever. It also comes with fantastic affirmations you can use all year to create your best life. You'll find a link for that in the description below. Well, where are we going to start? We're going to start with Pluto, which I started with last month in your horoscope as well. Pluto starts the month in Aquarius, where he was last month. And Pluto really just dipped for a very short time into Aquarius. And by the 11th, Pluto will have retrograded back into Capricorn like this. And Pluto's going to remain in Capricorn for the rest of the year. And Pluto actually entered Capricorn in February of 2008 and will be leaving Capricorn finally for good in January of 2024. And I just want to say that the beginning and end of a sign transit like this can be the strongest part. And so what happened in 2008? Well, Pluto made kind of a mess of our financial system here in this country, which has impact on a lot of other countries, really. And so here we are at the end of Pluto moving through Capricorn, and he's wreaking yet more havoc with authority figures and governments and other structures like that. So I think we can expect this to continue until Pluto leaves Capricorn in January. That's your 6th house. And that's the arena of work, health, service, and personal organization. So if you have undergone a massive transformation that was kind of slow moving and long over the time, since 2008, and it's been happening in your work life, in your job life, you can look forward to this being over quite soon. So I think I would call that good news, actually. Now, June 17th, a little bit later in the month, Saturn is going retrograde in Pisces. Here's Saturn, and boom, there it is. It's gone retrograde. Saturn brings the tough lessons, the stuff that you have to work hard for, but enables you to build skill. This year, with Saturn being in Pisces, it's traveling through your 8th house, which is the house of the ways that you interface with other people that are in your life on a consistent basis. And by this, I mean like the intimate spaces. That can be sexually, it can be emotionally, and it can be financially. So as Saturn is traveling through your 8th house, and it's likely to be there for more than 2 years total, you're going to see some tough lessons about who can you trust. How do you trust them? Do you trust them like 100%, like it's a black and white proposition? Or do you figure out how to trust them in the shades of gray? It's going to take some effort, but the results of a transit like this can just leave you so much stronger. And it can leave you stronger financially too, because you know where to invest. And again, that can be financially or emotionally, from having endured some tough lessons and pushing your way through perhaps some mistakes. So let me speak about Juno. Juno is passing through the end of Gemini, starts the month in Gemini. This is a house of collaboration. She's a planet of collaboration. She's, technically speaking, she's an asteroid. Planet is really just a shorthand form that we use as astrologers. So she's a planet of collaboration and cooperation, of partnership, working together. She's also very much a networker, and here she is in the house of networking. And I did speak about this last month, so I won't say too much about it right now, except to say that Juno in the 11th house is really good for your social life and can put you out there in groups, managing things in groups, or maybe just enjoying and participating. But this is a really great time for your social life, which can then come to an end when Juno leaves your 11th house and moves on into your 12th, right here around June 22nd, when Juno enters Cancer. And Juno, coincidence? No, June is named for Juno. So there you have it. But she's entering your 12th house, which is really a place of like withdrawal and retreat and solitude and retiring and those kinds of things. It's also a house of spiritual matters, contemplation, meditation, those kind of things. And so when Juno comes into this house, you might find yourself taking a little step back from your partnership, wanting a little space to yourself to kind of feel into some of the deeper layers of your partnership and think about how you might want things to be different, or just kind of, get a little R&R for yourself. Another thought is that you and your partner might enjoy some form of deeply relaxing and not non-taxing vacation together, like go hang out on the beach, or go on a spiritual retreat, meditate together. Those kind of things can be a really great source of bonding and connection in your committed partnership when Juno is passing through your 12th house. Then we have Ceres, and Ceres starts the month in Virgo. And let's see, here she is in your 2nd house. And I did speak of this last month, and I've spoken of this quite a bit in the last few months as Ceres has been going back and forth between Leo and Virgo. So I won't belabor it, but I will say that just as Ceres is leaving this house, that, planets will often surge in their importance just as they're leaving a house. And so as she's doing that here mid-month, you might feel that there is a little bit extra emphasis on your habits and routines that support your health, how you nourish yourself, how you take care of your body, and things like that, as Ceres is still traversing the 2nd house, which is her own house, and she really likes to be there, so probably a little reluctant to leave. On the 21st, Ceres moves into Libra right here, and that's your 3rd house. Also, I spoke about this, especially in February, when Ceres went direct. Remember that. We entered a financial rebalancing period, which we've recently come out of. Ceres is now direct, and that's the good news, because it might have been a little bit rough. Might have been a lot of, things that you needed to untangle in your finances, but that's in the past. And as Ceres comes through the 3rd house, she's going to really ground your learning. In other words, this is a house of curiosity, of ideas, of learning, of, not to say research, that's kind of more of an 8th house thing, because that's about uncovering what's hidden, but like searching the internet and putting ideas together is a very 3rd house approach. And Ceres likes to ground things in the physical. So if there's anything that you need to learn that can be learned with your body, this is a really great transit for that, by practicing it physically. So like I'm a rather kinesthetic person, and I got to tell you, I don't know people's phone numbers with my mind. I know them with my fingers. If you show me a phone keypad, I could dial them, but I couldn't tell you what they are without doing that. And so your body remembers things really well if you learn them physically, and this is a really great transit for that kind of pursuit. Hey, Julia. Ooh, I do want to add that Ceres is going to be in your third house until mid-September, so I'll probably mention it again in the next couple of months. But Julia, what's up with Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Leos of the world this month?
Well, I got to tell you, Leo, we're very happy because Mercury is no longer retrograde. It is moving very, very fast this month. In fact, it's entering a few different signs. It's starting in your 10th house for the first 10 days of the month. That is a house of your public reputation. It is a house of your career. Wherever we have Mercury is where our mind is that month. So you'll be thinking a lot about work. You might be noticing more communication with the people you work with. And it can be a very fruitful transit if you do anything in your work that's Mercury related. So that could be buying and selling, writing, speaking, teaching, even travel like Uber driving. Now by June 11th, Mercury is going to move into your 11th house, and it's going to be there for maybe about another 15 days. And so kind of like mid-month, it's going to be just a lot more social. Your mind might be on your long-term goals in life because that's what's ruled by this house. It's the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. So maybe you're going to be planning, strategizing, fantasizing about your long-term goals, and maybe getting a lot more calls and communication from your friends too, who are also ruled by this house. Then by the 26th, Mercury moves into another house again. This is a very, very fast-moving Mercury this month. And the 12th house is an isolated house. It's a deeply spiritual house. It's a very introverted house. So you'll be keeping your thoughts a little bit more to yourself by the end of the month. It could be a really great time for like doing a lot of writing on your own. If you have any writing projects you have to catch up on, just like shut the door to your room, tell everybody to leave you alone for a little while, shut off your phone, and really get to writing. And then by the 30th, this is a very special day because Mercury will be exactly conjoined the sun while direct. So this is opposed to when Mercury's conjoined the sun while retrograde, which if you remember happened last month. But when it's direct, we call this greater epiphany day versus lesser epiphany day. So you could have insights and revelations during this time period. It could be happening while you're writing on your own. It could be happening in your dream states because this is the 12th house. It could also be happening while you're thinking of being in service to somebody else, which is also a very strong 12th house value. I think it could be a really great at the end of the month to do some meditating around greater epiphany day. You might have some fascinating insights with Mercury conjoined the sun in the 12th by the end of the month. Now Venus and Mars are both going to be in your first house this month. The first house is the house of self. So this is a good time to really project yourself out into the world. Now Venus spends the first 5 days of the month in the 12th. So, first early days of the month, you might be a little bit more retreating at home or wanting to be on your own instead of out in the world with other people. But by the 5th, Venus is going to be in the first and Mars is going to be in the first all month too. So Venus and Mars, both in the first house, this is a very dynamic combination. You are going to be projecting some very pleasing, some very good looking, charming energy with Venus in there, as well as some feisty, assertive, and even sexually magnetic energy with Mars in there as well. So a really good time to date if you're single, a good time to really get out there and promote yourself. With Mars in the first, just be careful of not overdoing anything. I mean, I think Venus is going to balance it out, but you never know with Mars in the first. Try to get out your energy by being really active, and I think you'll make the most of this month, Leo.
Hey, Jamie here. Did you know we run live workshops monthly where you can get questions answered about your own chart? Join us for a live customized reading of your personal chart. This month's topics are success and your Saturn return, transiting nodes and your destiny, and harvesting opportunities during your Jupiter luck year. And these workshops are available exclusively for our beloved Patreon subscribers. You get the Nodes and Destiny workshop with your Tier 2 subscription, and you get all 3 workshops with your Tier 3 subscription. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. Now let's get back to the video. Well, I got a couple of moons to talk about. The first one is early in the month, June 3rd. This is a full moon in Sagittarius. It lands in your 5th house right here, opposite the sun and Gemini. And we were having some fun making the moon video, talking about the archetypal battle between the jock and the nerd, where the moon in Sagittarius has all of the vigor and physicality and adventuresome spirit of the jock, along with the, maybe the social cluelessness. Whereas the sun plays the role of the nerdy, cerebral, Gemini, thinking, stay in your head and be a little bit more socially withdrawn kind of thing, and how the two of them are sort of duking it out. So you might find that this drama plays out with the moon landing in your 5th house, where there's the one side of you that just wants to play and goof off and have fun, and is maybe just feeling a little bit rambunctious, and your friends might need to balance you or need to remind you of how to think things out a little bit more before leaping into them, how to have a plan, those kind of things, because the sun is here in the house of friends. And so your friends could play the role of kind of slowing you down, getting you to think about it, whereas you, with the moon here in the 5th house, might just want to kind of roll all over them like a steamroller. So this moon, though, I do want to say, has a ton of harmony with it, and this is not actually a difficult opposition to resolve. There's lots of help in this moon, and you can find out about it on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the forecast tab, where you will see the videos that we made about this month's moons. But definitely suffice it to say that moon in Sagittarius this month in the 5th house suggests that you're going to be wanting to have some adventures and do some playing early in the month. Now, the second moon this month is happening on the 17th. This is a new moon in Gemini, and it lands squarely in your 11th house. Now, the 11th house is a social place. It's the house of friends and groups and community and networks and tribe. It's also kind of like a laboratory in the sense that it is a proving ground for ideas, experimentation, and innovation. And it's a house of ideologies and plans that extend far into the future. It's kind of futuristic house. So we're calling this moon New Ideas Dream Tested. And that stems from the fact that the new moon is a time of new beginnings, planting seeds. This being in the air sign of Gemini suggests that these new ideas could be those very seeds. And when you plant them, what comes forth? Well, this moon, fortunately or unfortunately, has plenty of stress in it. There is a square to Ceres in Virgo, very practical. Also a square to Neptune in Pisces, very dreamy. And so these two have an oppositionality, real world versus fantasy, or imagination versus drudgery. And then the moon and sun here are kind of caught in the middle. So it wouldn't be surprising if under this moon you found yourself in a social environment, having a sort of a brainstorming session with some friends or some form of group, and new ideas are birthed. And then out of this conversation, there is some testing by applying imagination, a la Neptune, and by applying reality, a la Ceres. And therefore only the most robust ideas are likely to survive the experiment. So, but it can definitely be a very fruitful time for ideas, and some will always be duds. That is the way of things. But these ideas are going to get tested pretty quickly right after they are born. Now, then the last thing I want to tell you about is the seasonal change. The sun, of course, starts the month in Gemini, and it will shift on into Cancer right about here, June 21st. But before that, we see that there's this little group here traveling along through Gemini, so that your 11th house is very much the place to be early in the month, which means that you should have, a pretty active social life this month and be engaging with ideas and doing that brainstorming stuff. And then as the month moves on and the sun enters the 12th house and leaves the 11th house behind, there gets to be a stronger theme of introversion, as Julia mentioned. So there's this pulling inward that happens here. And really, it's the beginning of your annual mop-up period. Now, if you're a Leo sun, then the date 30 days before your birthday is the time when your previous year, the year that you're still in, is beginning to pull to a close. And you're beginning to feel this pressure to let go of or complete anything that you really wanted to do during this birthday year. And you can also feel the themes of the new year approaching as the sun travels along through Cancer and heads for your Leo birthday. Now, even if you are a Leo rising and not a Leo sun, then the sun in the sky, while it's in Cancer, will be traveling through your 12th house, and it's a very similar feel, a feel of the unraveling of the old and making way, making a moist garden for the new to spring forth from when the sun crosses your ascendant. So the 12th house is definitely a place of retreat. You may find yourself pulling inward. You may feel like things are a little bit muddy, a little bit confusing. There's a swirling of many currents in many different directions with no clear sense of orientation. And that's normal for this last month of your year. And it's just a really good time to get more sleep, to feel into things instead of trying to drive the action. This is not a river that you can push. So really good time to sort of take a load off, put your feet up, and not indulge in too much fantasy, but definitely stir the waters of your imagination. The sun will probably be moving through this 12th house of yours for about 30 days. And this is a really good time to, do that meditation, that spiritual work, do that little retreat thing before the sun bursts out on the scene by crossing into Leo next month.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly transits workshop for Tier 2 patrons on Patreon. And it's practically free at $15 a month. Find the link in the description below to sign up. Enjoy this beautiful springtime. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.